And so the folks you're expecting, Sarah, they're like kind of the property managers
Yeah,
for this site for Win.
yeah. So Kayla is the one who did accept, and she's the on-site manager at for Win for Mills 8 and 10 for the town.
Okay.
Yep. And then
So
there's
they have an office there
yep,
yeah,
in
okay.
Mill 10. They might have an office in 8 too, but she's from what I know, she's been based in Mill 10.
Okay.
But yep, but we'll see if she shows or anybody. I don't think anybody else asked for the link, so if we don't get anybody within a couple minutes, I suggest we just sort of start or I can do my intro
Okay.
and because sometimes you know how these meetings go, even if somebody accepted, that doesn't mean they're going to show up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I also don't know if Kayla forwarded the link to anybody. Who knows? But
Okay. Well, the more the better. I'm ready when
yeah,
you are.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. Eric and I were like, okay, let's just do it. Did you listen to that?
I did, yeah.
Oh, here comes Kayla.
All right, great.
Hi, Kayla.
Hi Sarah, how are you?
Good. How are you? So I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. It shouldn't be a long presentation, and then if anybody has any questions, um, you know, we can do that afterwards. Um, I've got Tim Clinton with us, who is our from Fuss and O'Neill. He's our qualified environmental professional for this project.
Hi, Kayla.
These are required um, through the EPA Brownfield cleanup grant process. Um, they handle all the abatement, creating the specs, doing any additional testing, um, helping us procure abatement contractors, and all the bits and pieces of reporting and due diligence for the EPA, one of which is this meeting. We're required to prepare alternatives to brownfield cleanup. We prepare, which is called the ABCA, and we've sent a draft of that with our application, and it outlines basically our proposed strategy for cleanup, and we need to discuss that with the public. And then there's a 30-day window for people to comment, and then we finalize that and get it back to EPA. So that's what this is, the public meeting, in order to let folks be aware of what we're doing and where things stand. So I'm going to let Tim take it from there.
All right, thanks, Sarah. So the cleanup project in this case, as Sarah mentioned, is being funded by a fiscal year 24 Brownfield cleanup grant awarded to West Mass by United States EPA, and the money in this case will be focused on cleanup at Mill 9, Mill 11, and Warehouse 199. And as Sarah mentioned, I'm Tim Clinton. I'm a senior project manager with Fuss& O'Neill and have kind of been overseeing the technical elements of this project, coordinating with EPA and helping with specification writing and technical work planning. And we are also subcontracting O'Reilly, Talbot, and O'Kuhn to help us with some of the on-site oversight of the cleanup. So I'll be mentioning them a couple times throughout the slides here. I'd like to start off with a little bit of project background. I think it's helpful to provide some context on bigger picture, where we've been at Ludlow Mills and kind of how this project fits in. So West Mass manages the 140-acre Ludlow Mills complex, which includes over 50 historic buildings. The complex, of course, has a long industrial history dating back to the early 1800s, production of textiles, gun barrels, jute yarns, other kind of textile products. Really was the main focus in its industrial heyday. But through West Mass's efforts, since they acquired the property in 2011, there has been quite a bit of public and private investment that has supported redevelopment and revitalization of the complex. Today, it includes mixed use development, including multi-income and senior housing. Those residents enjoy recreational amenities and green space nearby and within the complex. There's also about 30 businesses that operate on site, including healthcare related businesses, light industrial companies, warehousing, and food and beverage. This next phase of revitalization will be kind of facilitated through a $1 million EPA Brownfield cleanup grant that will focus on abatement activities in Mill 9, 11, and Warehouse 199, which are either currently vacant or well underutilized in their current state. West Mass hired Fuss & O'Neill, my firm, to fulfill the qualified environmental professional role in this project. And like I said, we are also working with O'Reilly, Talbot, and O'Kuhn, OTO. And today's meeting will commence the 30-day public review and comment period that is required as part of the ABCA process. So we do encourage public comment and questions, which will be considered as part of the process to finalize the ABCA and formalize the cleanup approach. And to get into that cleanup approach, first kind of give an overview of the three buildings that will be the subject of this work. Mill 9 is a 24,000 square foot building built in the early 1900s, two-story brick warehouse. The specific environmental issues consist of about 130 window systems that include asbestos-containing caulking and glazing. There's also one door system that has asbestos caulking. There is lead-based paint on surfaces throughout the building, including the exterior, so window frames, metal doors, sprinkler pipes. I will note that there already has been some abatement that's been conducted using the EPA funds, and that really focused on the roof. There was a pretty substantial roof leak in the building that warranted emergency expedited abatement action and roof repair. You can kind of see in the picture, the upper picture, there's some moss and deteriorated wood that kind of highlights the water intrusion problem. So earlier this year, over the winter time, we did abate the roof and repair it so that the leak was fixed. Um, you see in the lower picture there that a lot of the damaged flooring has since been fixed, and so that was really allowed by way of fixing the roof first. So that was done under an expedited process. The next phase of abatement will include complete removal of asbestos to position the building for renovation and reuse. Future renovation will also include implementation of lead-safe work practices that are really designed to protect workers and ensure that uh, construction and demolition debris and waste is disposed properly, given that it does contain lead hazards. There is kind of a similar scope for Warehouse 199, which is a 31,000 square foot building, again built around 1905. This building is 4 stories. It features 59 window systems that are contaminated with asbestos-containing caulk and glazing, about 400 linear feet of asbestos roofing sealants and cement that will need to be abated, and about 5 square feet of asbestos cement panel inside the rooftop elevator room. Similar lead-based painted surfaces in this building as well, including exterior window frames. And there was one window that was found to contain caulk that was contaminated with PCBs. So that particular window will need to be abated and disposed separately. Um, like Mill 9, the strategy here is to abate by way of complete removal of asbestos and PCB containing materials. That's as opposed to leaving them in place and encapsulating them. The reuse strategy for Warehouse 199 is a little unclear at the moment. It may be renovated or it may be completely demolished, and that's dependent on structural review that is currently ongoing, as well as some coordination with the National Park Service, who's sort of overseeing the historical review of the building. But regardless of whether it's renovated and reused or completely demolished, the abatement will happen and will consist of complete removal of those hazards. And again, lead safe work practices will be conducted to protect workers and ensure that debris is disposed properly. And then Mill 11 is the third building in this cleanup grant scope. It's by far the largest building, 345,000 square feet, built in 1913. It's a 5-story structure. There is an existing commercial tenant on the first floor. The reuse plan and renovation scope for this building are currently unknown, so it's on a little bit of a different time frame from the other 2 buildings. It has a little over 500 window systems that have asbestos caulking and glazing, 630 square feet of linoleum and tile floor that contain asbestos, 2,500 square feet of wall components, being joint compound and transite boards that are asbestos containing, and then small areas of pipe insulation and black tar that also contain asbestos and need to be disposed accordingly. Lead paint was detected in this building as well, and there was one window on the 5th floor that had PCBs that will need to be managed separately. Again, the abatement strategy here is complete removal as opposed to leaving anything in place and encapsulating. And this will allow flexibility in the renovation and reuse strategy once that becomes better defined. At a minimum, The renovations will be conducted using lead-safe work practices to protect workers and ensure proper disposal. If residential reuse is part of the picture, a more comprehensive lead abatement strategy will be needed, and that will be necessary to meet lead-free requirements that apply that are more stringent under a residential reuse scenario to protect children who may be exposed as part of residence. Looking forward to next steps and anticipated timelines. So Mill 9 will be the initial focus of this work. We are prepared to start abatement of the windows and door asbestos-containing materials this fall. And I do want to point out that that will be done using private funds. That work won't use the EPA cleanup grant. And the reason for that is West Mass is interested in expediting the window removal process. So this will allow for a little bit of a faster contractor procurement timeline by using private funds. And that'll avoid the need to have to store windows or board up the window openings. So the strategy will be to abate, remove the windows, and then immediately insert the new windows, which I believe are slated to arrive any day now. As a QEP, we'll be monitoring this abatement and performing the final clearance inspection. A little further down the road, the lead abatement will be publicly procured through a public solicitation process and reviewing multiple bids. And then the work will be conducted concurrent with the overall building renovation. Like I said, the work is expected to start in fall of this year and extend into springtime of next year. Warehouse 199, that work will be conducted using the EPA Brownfield Cleanup Grant, which requires a public solicitation process and soliciting multiple bids for abatement. Abatement will include the window, roof, and elevator roof asbestos and PCB removal. Again, we will be performing the monitoring of the abatement and the clearance inspection. Lead-containing materials will be removed and disposed as part of the overall building renovation or demolition. The exact timeline for this work is not known, but is anticipated to begin in 2026. And as I mentioned, West Mass is currently coordinating with the National Park Service to review structural conditions and the historic building designation to determine the feasibility of full demolition or if partial demolition or renovation is a more feasible option. And then lastly, Mill 11, that will be again abated using the Brownfield Cleanup Grant, so it will be subject to the public solicitation process for the contractor, who will then come in and abate the windows, the floor, the pipe, the roof materials, as well as the PCB materials. Same type of monitoring program and clearance inspection by the QEP. Same approach for removal and disposal of lead materials, depending on reuse strategy. That will determine whether we are pursuing lead-free certification. And as I mentioned, the timeline for this work is unknown and will ultimately depend on the reuse strategy, which is still being determined. And then looking ahead to post-abatement reuse, Mill 9 is slated for commercial or possibly some kind of local governmental municipal use. Residential use is not planned. Warehouse 199, the preference, I believe West Mass's preference is for full demolition of that building. And in which case the footprint that would be freed up by demolition of that building would be reused as open space or possibly parking for existing tenants. If full demolition is infeasible, One possible reuse option would be for auxiliary storage space for existing tenants. And then, as mentioned, Mill 11, the reuse strategy is currently unknown, but it is anticipated that the building will be reused and remain standing and renovated accordingly.
Like likely residential, but we're
Okay.
still sorting that out.
All right. Thank you.
Likely additional residential over time.
Okay. Um, and then we will be pursuing continued community engagement and outreach throughout this project and the life of the grant. As I mentioned when we started, this meeting kicks off a 30-day public comment period. Questions and comments will be received by the project team and are welcomed and will be considered as part of the process to finalize the ABCA. Once that 30-day comment period closes, we will be finalizing the ABCA and formally starting the work. A project informational repository has been established on the West Mass website, and that repository will be maintained through the life of the grant. We'll be updating it with the slides today, as well as other technical documents that are generated as part of this project. We do anticipate likely at least one more public meeting, and that will kind of depend on how long the work takes. It is a 4-year grant, but we're not exactly sure if the abatement will take quite that long. But we do anticipate likely one more public meeting to kind of give an update on the work that's planned for Mill 9. And Warehouse 199 to kind of give an overview of how that went and also provide information on the cleanup and renovation of Mill 11 once that comes into a little bit better focus. And of course, the project team is always available to accept and consider questions and comments throughout the life of the grant. And for anyone who is interested in submitting a question or a comment, I've shared here some contact information for myself and Sarah, as well as Sarah's colleague at West Mass, Dan Napick, who's going to be have a significant role in this project going forward as well. And of course, I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have as well.
No, I think I'm all set on questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
appreciate you coming.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Kayla. As I said, this will go up on our website, as is all the information. So, and you certainly know to reach out to Jesse, Kayla as well, Jesse Allen. He's, as you know, our on-site guy. So, anybody can direct you if any of your tenants, residents have any questions or concerns. They know where to find us. Thank you. And, yeah, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Kayla.
Appreciate it, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Sarah.
Yep. Take it easy, Tim.
Yep. Talk soon.
And yeah, I'll let me stop.